Recording, right? Welcome back. So we have completed our static route, and we have seen that what is the difference between the recursive lookup and the non-recursive lookup as well. And we have also covered the concept of the proxy ARP, right? And why do we need a proxy ARP? Why do we don't need a proxy ARP? We see the pros and cons as well, right? So today we are going to talk about the something interesting, which is almost not related to the static route, but it's related to the routing concept, right? Let me 1 minute. Let me give it the 1 minute. Let me draw my topology first of all. So meantime, what I can do that I'll quickly Chrome and put the docs for this as well. So the website you can see. Yeah. Good. So let me really routing group of really important. And I'll take the three datas. Not 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, and 7. 7 is fine. So I'll take the 1, 2, 1, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 is good. I think so. That's fine. But let me change the icon for this one. Let me know if you guys have any question regarding the static route, right? Let me finish this topic, then I'll come back to the static route again. We'll talk about the pros and cons, and then we'll jump to the dynamic routing. And we have a class on this Friday. Okay. So that's my router number 1. That's my router number 2. Right now we have this my router 3. We have this my router number 4. Right. And this my router 5, of course. Right. That's my router number 1, 2, 3, and 5. So this class and this labs is gonna help you to understand the AD concept. Okay, I don't have a code, so let me configure the codes over here. So slots, and I can take this as a FATX. That's fine. And I take the codes from here to the phone. And same way, we need to take this as a first person. Same way, this guy. To add this guy as a configure the port as well, slots, and we have a FATX and okay, and here we go. What I can do that quickly, I'll first configure the IP addressing, right? That's a normal one. And I'll assign the port, and let's start my devices. So I have a port, I have IP address for this guy will be 12.1, right? And this will be the 12.2. Okay, and the subnet over here as well, we have a 24.25.2, and this should be the 25.5. The same subnet 2010.7 that I'm going to use it everywhere. Same with this interface, I have a 23.3. This interface link, we have a 23.3. This interface, we have a R3 and R4, 35.3, and this facet, we have a 35.5. Same way, if I look for this guy, so this guy will be 14.1, which is the router number 1. This guy should be go with the 14.4. And over here, if I talk about this guy should be go with the 45.4, and this guy should be go with the 45.5. Now, if you look for the network between the R1 and R2, so 10.1.12.0/24. This should be over here, it should be 10.1.25.0/24. Over here, it should be 10.1 13.0. Okay, my mistake, I configured the wrong IP. That's fine. I'll change it later. So 35.0/24. And this should be go with the 10.1.14.0/24. And this would be, I'm going to configure this as a 10.1.45.0/24. However, the look back I have behind the screen, I have a 5.0.0.0/8. I have another 8, but 5.55.55.0/24 as well. Okay. So this is my look back number one. Look back, if you remember that I told you that you can get the multiple look back on the router. So this is the logical interface. They don't have any kind of MAC address, right? Okay. So that's my normal topology. We have it, right? What I can do that, I'll start my configuration in the notepad. On the router one, we have an interface phase 0/0. That's my IP address 10.1.12.1/24. And then we have a interface 1/0. I have this guy will be 10.123.2/24, right? And then we have a no shutdown interface. We have a F4/0. IP address will be 10.1.14.0/24, right? This guys will be good now. And then we have router number two. If you see, router number two have a two interface, 12.2 and 25.2. So I'll configure this guy's interface 0/0. IP address will be 10.12.2/24. And this guys will be go with the 1/0 25.2/24. That's perfectly fine, right? So then R3 now we have R3. If you see, we have interface 0/0. I have IP address will be 13.3. Okay, this should be, let me change this guy. This will be 13.1. So I'll give this guy name as a 13.1. I'll give this guy's name as a 13.3. Perfectly fine, right? On R2 is good. R3 we have a /24 and awesome. No shutdown. Remember one thing, the loopback interface, you don't need to give the no shutdown command, right? By default, the loopback interface are in the upstate. No shut for this guy. On R4 also, we have R4, we have a two interface 14.4 and 45.4, right? Interface 0/0, we have a 10.145.4/24. Set interface 1/0, I have a 10.145.4, yeah. And this is good now, right? No shut. R5, we have interface 0/0, I have a 10.125.5. Gray is there in the class today. No shutdown interface 1/0. Something. So interface 1/0, 10.135.5, and /24, no shutdown, and interface F4/0, right? And 10.145.5. Okay, right. Have a look back. So my look back is a 555. Let's see if you see I'm giving the /8. It's a class 4. Another look back, I have interface look back number 2, which is the, okay, it should be the 55.5.5.5/24. Okay, that's perfect. Right, that's good now. And that's good on R5. Now what we can do that, let me tell you, I'm gonna configure. I know this is something earlier right now, but yeah, just to show you the topic, right? I'm just gonna do the OSPF configuration, right? On the between the router 1 and router 2. And this guy as well. Over here, what I can do that, I'm gonna configure the EIGRP routing record, right? And same thing, I'm gonna configure the EIGRP over here as well. And on the bottom side, if you see, I'm gonna configure the static route, right? Over here we have a static. Okay, STK static route. Same way I have a static route over here. Guys, just give me 1 minute. Hey guys, so if you see, just configure the IP addressing. What I can do that I quickly configure the routing protocol. So over here, I'm gonna configure the OSPF routing protocol. Right now, I know you guys don't know about the OSPF. Skip this part. Same way, I'm gonna configure the EIGRP right now over here. And what I can do that, I'm also gonna configure the static route over here, right? And then we'll see the behavior of the router one, okay? So let's go on the router number 1, router OSPF 1. Also the network would be, let's make our router ID. I'm suggesting you right now, just ignore the configuration of the OSPF, right? We'll see that later. And in the EIGRP, I'm gonna do that. Same thing, router EIGRP. one and the GRP router ID, I'm going to configure 711 and also the network will be 10.30.0. And that's fine, right? And then we have a, on the router one, I have a static route, right? So on router one, I need to go to this path, 10.145.0, right? Slash 24. The next hub will be 10.140.4. Same thing. 10.140.4 and IP route 55.0 and I have a plus class 10.140.4, right? That's my router one configuration. How about the router number two right now? Router number two is only running with the OSPF routing protocol. So I'll quickly say the router ID will be 2.2.2.2.2. Network we have a 10.112.0, area 0, and network 10 we have a 23.0, and we have area 0. I do not have any loop back, so I'll just go exit and say the router number 3 now. Router AGRP number 1. I can say that router gauge at 3.3.3.3. Network I have a 13.0 and network I have a 35.0. Okay, so how about the router 4 now? Router 4, I just need to configure the static route because for the router 4, if you see the routing table of the directly connected route, they have a 10.114.0/24 and they have a 10.145.0/24, right? So they already have a these network and these network on the router 4. I don't have a these network, right? So I just need to configure the these network on the router 4. So IP route, I have a 5.0.0/24 and the next hub will be 45.5. Same way I have a 55.55.55 as well. 10.145.5. That's good. How the router 5 now? On the router 5, again, same configuration like router 1. I need to configure the OSPF routing protocol. Router ID will be 55555 and network I'm gonna advertise my 25.0. Right? Area 0. So this network I'm running in the OSPF routing protocol only. Same way I have a EAGRP. Okay, I just need to advertise my loopback as well. Forget 5555. That's my /8 area 0. Network 55.55.45.0 and area 0. Same way EGRP I have. EGRP I'm gonna run with the 10.55.0 and network I have a 55. Okay, that's good for the EGRP. Now we need to configure the static route as well. IP route, our 10.14.0, right? That's a single static route I need to configure on the first guy. So on the router 4, if you see a router 5 only, I'm just going to configure the 14.0/24/7, right? So now let's copy and paste this configuration on the device now. So let me take a console. Okay, so on router 1, what I can do that, I will quickly configure the IP address first. This one is done. Okay, IP address will be 10.114.4. This is the mistake I did it over here. It should be the 1. Okay, on the router 2 now. You get on router 3 now. Okay, from there it's a interface INT. orbit and the router 4 now. Somebody made a mistake. 14 dot. It's good, right? Good. Ah, it should be the 14.4, and that's wrong. And that's router 5 now. 2 loopbacks and 3 physical interface. Right? So if you see, I haven't given the no shutdown command, right? I haven't given no shutdown command the yeah. Now on the router 1, I have a router OSPF EAGR pin the static out. All done. On the router 2 now, we have OSPF only. Right? On router 3 only we have a EAGR pin. On the router 4, I have only the static out. And the router 5, I have OSPF EAGR pin the static out. Now, what I want to show you guys. So remember I told you that, right? When you assign the IP address on the interface, right? When you assign the IP address on this particular, right now there is no any IP address on this particular router, right? There's no IP address. So, but by default, what happened? Router maintains the routing table, but in that routing table, there will be no router. Once you apply the interface and configure the IP address, let's say example, I configure this interface we have 0/0, and I'll configure the IP address for this guy's 101/24. So as soon as I'm going to put this command, then what happened? Immediately what router will do that in the backend. We did this class, right, in the day 1 of the routing. Immediately what happened on the router will find the submit mask information for this particular IP address, and they will put the network ID in the routing table, which is 0/0. As soon as it's going to configure the IP address, जैसे तुम IP address configure करते हो, तुम्हारे router क्या करता है? In backend, they will find the network ID for this guy, and they will put that network ID information in the routing table. Same way, as soon as I'm going to configure the loopback, let's say example loopback right now. Loopback number 1, I'm going to configure the IP address will be 101/8. So as soon as I'm going to configure the IP address on this guy, what happened? What router will do that? It will put the CM is connected out, and also the 1.0.0.0. They will find the submit mask information and the network ID, and they will map with the loopback number 1. So this is happening in the backend. This is happening in the backend. Now the question is that, let's say example, what happened? Let's say example, what happened? If this router is going to receive the same route. Let's say example, this is the service provider 1, right? This is service provider 1, and this is the service provider number 2. So 2 service provider we have, and both the service provider, right? Both the service provider is going to send the routing information. So we have, let's say example, the service provider is sending the default route, right? Same way, this is also going to send the default route. So both the service provider, right? Both the service provider ISP number 1 and ISP number 2 has sent the default route to the router number 1, right? This is the router 1, and this router 1 has received the default route from both the service provider. What basically they will do that, let me tell you. If the AD is same, right? If the AD is same, then they will install both the route in the routing table. Then they will install both the route in the routing. So in the routing table, you will have both information if the AD is same. So there is no metric, right? There's no metric. AD will be same. They will install both the route. But what happened? Let's say example, if they are sending the route from this guy sending the 1.0.0.0/8, and if this guy will send the 110/24, in that case, what they will do that? And how does this router will take the decision? Which routes will be installed or which routes will be not installed? So what router is doing in the backend? What router is doing the backend? So whenever you do any configuration on the Cisco router, they will do the route selection based on these 3 attributes. Based on these 3 attributes, they will do the route selection. The first, it will look for the AD. The first, it will look for the AD, administrative distance. Guys, give me 1 minute. So they will look for the ED first of all. The ED is also called as a preference. If you remember that, I talked about this thing right in the last class. Also known as a distance, right? In the different vendor, they put the different name. So whenever the router will receive the route in the routing table, right? Whenever the router will receive the route in the routing table, this is the router. This guy will perform the lookup, the AD first of all. Lower AD is always the take the more precedence, right? Let's say example, you have a 100.0.0/8 route and the 100.0/8 route, and they both have a AD is 1 and they both have a AD is 1. In that case, what happened? The AD will be tied, right? In that case, what happened? AD will be tied. Let's say example, you have a 2.0.0.0/8 and the 2.0.0.0/8, and this guy has a AD2 and this guy has a AD1. Of course, in that case, what router will do that? They will install the in the routing table the 2.0.0.0/8 with the AD number 1 because lower AD is always preferred. But in this case, what happened? The router will install both the route in the routing table, AD1 and AD number 1. So it will do the ACMP, right? If the AD is same, then they will do the ACMP. But let's say example, what happened if the AD will tie, right? If the AD is tie, then it will look for the metric. So metric by default static route use the metric is 0, right? By default static route use the metric concept is 0. So they don't have a metric concept. Static route के पास कोई भी metric और concept नहीं होता है. By default ये set to the 0 होता है. Dynamic routing protocol में metric का concept होता है. Like a RIP, IGRP, EIGRP, OSPF, ISS protocol, BGP. ये जितने भी डायनामिक राउटिंग प्रोटोकॉल है सब में मैट्रिक का कॉन्सेप्ट है एक्सेप्ट द स्टैटिक राउट. इसलिए स्टैटिक राउट में इसलिए क्या होता है स्टैटिक राउट में तुम अगर चेक करो इफ यू गो टू द राउटर नंबर 1 एंड हैव अ लुक फॉर द स्टैटिक राउट सो IP route 5.0.0.0 you can see that the metric is 0. But for the dynamic routing protocol, if you see, let's have a look for this guy, any of the this route. Hold on, I am not getting the OSPF route. So IP okay, I am mistaken. I control the wrong advertisement. Network 10 25%. This is the 25, not the 23. I need to remove this one. That's what. So now you can see that if you see the interesting concept right now, static route has a, this is the part that you see right now. This part is gonna represent that the AD value. The by default AD for the static route is 1. Same way if you see that this guy, host of AD right now is a 1110. The EIGRP AD, which is the 90 right now. Same again, the static route we have AD with the 1. So every routing protocols, every routing has a AD. But if you see this is the metric we have, that's a 0, right? This guy has a OSPF route, this guy has a metric 2 right now, and this guy has a metric 30,720. So every dynamic routing protocol has a different way to find the metric. Every dynamic routing protocol has a different way to find the metric. We'll talk about this, how they will find it, don't worry about that. But static route does not use the metric. By default, it has a 0, right? So if it is a 0, right? If it is a 0, then what happened? If it is a 0, so in the case of static routing, what happened? In the case of static route, they will do the ECMP if the metric is same, right? If the metric is same, then they will do the ECMP. They will do the load balancing if the metric is same. Sorry, if the AD is same, because they don't have a metric concept. मान लो, take example, this route is coming from the OSPF, right? This route is coming from the OSPF, right? This route is coming from the OSPF. And they have a AD is 110, right? They have a AD is 110. That's a default AD for the OSPF routing protocol. So in that case, both route will be installed, right? In that case, what happened? Both route will be installed. I have a AD is 110 right now, 110, both route will be installed. But what happened if the metric of this guy's maybe the 5 and this guy's metric will be 3? In that case, what happened? The router will install the metric with the 3 and they will not install the metric with the 5. Right? In the case of a static rod, we only look for the AD value. In the case of a static rod, we only look for the AD. They will take the decision based on the AD because they don't have a metric concept. Or तुम लगा भी नहीं सकते. You cannot add the metric in the static rod. कर ही नहीं सकते. They will always set to the 0. But in the dynamic routing protocol, what happened? If the AD is tie, right? If AD is tie, right? Then it will look for the metric. Again, lower metric, right? Again, lower metric is take the more precedent. Like a lower AD will taking the more precedent. Same way what happened? The lower metric will take the more precedent. Every single routing protocol has a different way to calculate the best path. If the learn multiple paths with the same destination 1.0, 1.0, the routing protocol use the different metric, right, to identify which one is the best route. So lower metric is this guy, so this guy will become the best route. If this guy goes down, then it will comes in the picture. अगर ये मेरा down हो गया, तब ये backup picture में आ जाएगा. अगर मेरा ये down नहीं हुआ, तो ये हमेशा routing table में install होगा. So in the case of dynamic routing protocol, what happened? We have a metric comes in the picture. So if you see right now, if you see one of the interesting thing. Okay, before I'm going to do that, this part, let me show you these are the AD that you see right now. It's a reserved by the different routing protocol. So let me tell you the AD is let me write down over here. Then let me take the snip and I'll put this guy in the paint as well. And I'll explain you later. So let me write down the first thing. AD is a local to the router. This is a very, very important line. Local to the router का मतलब ये होता है. Local to the router का मतलब ये होता है कि let's take example on the router number 1 and the router number 2. If I'm going to configure the AD on the router number 1 as a AD number 5, it will not inform the router number 2, hey, my route has a AD number 5. They will have a AD number maybe 1. So they will not extend the AD value, right? They will not extend the AD value in the update packet. They will not extend the AD value. So AD is a local to the router. If I'm going to configure on the router number 1, it's only going to impact to the router number 1. That's the meaning of local to the router. अगर मैं router 1 पे कुछ करूंगा AD 5, तो router 1 पे ही 5 AD होगा, router 2 पे नहीं होगा. router 2 पे अगर मैं AD 1 करूंगा for this route, so router 2 पे AD 1 होगा for this particular route. router 1 पे कोई impact नहीं पड़ेगा. AD is a local to the router. Second thing, AD is a 8-bit number, right? 8-bit number का मतलब क्या हो गया? So we have a range from the 0 to 255, right? In this range, right? In this range, if you see, many of the ADs are reserved. Yes, give me 1 minute. Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. So if you see that some of the ADs, right, for the connected route, we have a 0 right now. For the static, we have a 1. So if you see right now, let me show you this is the connected route, right? 12.0/24. So if you're going to put the command, so IP root 10.1.24.0, right? If you, sorry, 12.0, right? If you see, this is the connected route. For the connected route, what happened? The AD is 0 right now. Same way, if you see the static route, it's 1. Same way if you use, so right now I don't have an EVGP. For the EVGP, it's 20. For the EIGRP, it's saying the internal. So EIGRP has the 2 types of AD. Internal is saying the 90, and external is saying the 170. Same way we have IGRP, we don't use it, so let's ignore it. OSPF, it's a single AD 1110, and the ISS have a 115. Same with the RIP protocol, we have a 120. So days by days, when I'm going to configure the routing protocols, then I'll show you the AD as well. Don't worry. IBGP also we have a 200 AD, and the EIGRP summary route we have a 580. So there's a 3 types of AD in the EIGRP. One is the internal, external, and the summary. Always the smaller ADs will take the higher precedence. Right. One thing that I'm gonna make you attention over here. Every vendor, right? Vendor means what? Cisco, Juniper, Huawei, right? Every vendor has a different AD value config, right? So it's not like that you will find the same AD. For example, right? For example, you have a 20 AD in the case of Cisco for the EVGP, right? Maybe on the Juniper you will make the 21, or maybe the Huawei you will make the 20 only. So it might be same or it might be different. It might be same or it might be different. So if you see, let me show you this interesting concept. So if you go to the Google and search the Juniper this preference. So Juniper is called the preference, right? That's fine. I'll get the all one. So if you see, this is the Juniper preference we have. So for the direct, they have a 0. For the local, we have a 0. Same minutes, right? Directly connected, we have 0. For the static, they have using the 5 over there. Can you see that? Then after that, if you see the OSPF internal, they use the 10. For the ISS, they have a 280, right? Then after that, if you see the RIP protocol, they have a 100. They have a OSPF external, they have a 150. So OSPF, they are using the 280. Again, for the ISS, they are using 480. Can you see that? BGP, they are using 170 AD. 170 AD is reserved by the EIGRP protocol in the Cisco router. So ADs are different, right? ADs value. So even if you look for the maybe the different vendor, maybe the Palo Alto routing preference, maybe you will see that. Let's go to check this one. No, they have not mentioned that. Maybe this one. No, they don't have it. But anyways, we'll see that we have seen, right, the EIGRP one. Maybe the Palo Alto I can take from here. Not there. So anyways, you can also Google it for the different vendor as well. So this is the Juniper one, right? Cisco and Juniper one is a little different. So let me put this one as in the docs as well, right? So if somebody will ask you, right? If somebody will ask you in the interview, so do not say that, okay, the EIGRP is 90. So just say that key, yeah, for the Cisco, we are using the 90. For the different vendor, it will be different. All good. Now, the interesting point, if you see, right, what I told you that the AD and matrix comes in the picture, right? So first it will look for the AD, lower AD is fine. If the AD will tie, then it will look for the matrix, right? If you see the router 1 is saying that, hey, I'm getting this route from the OSPF domain, the 5.0.0.0, the AD is a 1110. I'm getting this route through the EIGRP as well, 5.0.0.0, which is the AD is a 90 right now because for the internal it's a 90, right? Same way, I'm getting this route through the static route as well, the 5.0.0, which is the AD is 1. So of course the router 1, so if you have a different routing protocol, right? If you have a different routing protocol, then in that case, what happened? Matrix never comes in the picture, right? Because every routing protocol has a different matrix. AD comes in the picture. Lower AD, right? The router 1 has the lower AD, so 1 right now before the static route. So that's why you have a 5.0.0/8 with the static route, right? because I receiving the route with the 5.0 with the OSPF and the EIGRP as well, but it's not a better one because this is the better one. So if I'm gonna remove the static route, if you see, if I'm gonna, let's take example, I'm gonna shut down the link right now, F4/0, right? I'm gonna shut down it. So once I'm gonna shut down this link, right? Come on. Once I'm gonna shut down this link, then what happened? This path will be not in drive. In that case, what happened? The router one will fight for this AD and this AD. So this AD is a lower AD, of course, the 90. So it will take the EIGRP route. So if you see, the EIGRP comes in the picture. Why the OSPF is coming? Let me do one thing. Hold on. It will not. Let me change to something. I'll explain on this part later. What is the meaning of this command line? Leave it. Okay. One check again. Hold on. That's gone now, right? So you can see that the router one is taking the EIGRP right now. Why? Because the EIGRP has a 9080. If the EIGRP goes down, so right now this link is down, right? Right now this link is down. ये link down हो गया. Let's say कि shut down this link as well. So अगर मैं इसको down कर दूंगा, then the OSPF comes in the picture, right? Then the OSPF comes in the picture. Because the 90 goes down, then the last one is the 111080, right? So this guy comes in the picture. Do show IP now. 8110. But as soon as this guy comes in the picture, right? Let's say example, if I'm gonna up this link, right? If I'm gonna up this link, then what happened? Immediately what happened? The EIGRP comes in the picture. No shutdown and do show IP route. Yeah, you can see that. Come on. Yeah, EIGRP neighbor up, and now good to go. So OSPF goes up and the EIGRP comes in the picture, right? So OSPF is not there in the routing table. Same way, as soon as I'm gonna up this guy, right? Then what happened? Router one will fight for the static route because the static route has a lower AD. No shut. Right? Static route has a lower AD. So we'll show IP route now. So if you see, the EIGRP gone and the EIGRP comes, sorry, static route comes in the picture, the AD one. So this 2-1 that you see right now, right? Admin distance and the matrix comes in the picture. So admin is always lower and the matrix is also always lower, right? I'll write down the one interesting point over here, right? If the router will do the route selection. If the AD tie, then it will look for the matrix. If the AD is tied, then it will look for the matrix. Right? So AD comparison is happening between the different routing protocol and even the same routing protocol. So you do have a mechanism in the same routing protocol, you can change the AD, right? Remember in the static route, we change the matrix, right? Sorry, AD value by putting this command IP route. Let's say example. Next house 14.4 and I'll give the AD, right? So I have option to give the AD. So I'll make this guy, the AD is maybe the 20 right now. So the AD will be changed for this guy. But it's only changed for the 5.0.0, not for the 55, because I manually change the AD for the 5 subnet, not for the 55. So you do have ability, you can change the AD for the same routing domain as well, right? And the different routing protocol as well. But AD is the local to the router. So I change on the router number 1. It won't impact to the router number 5 and the router number 4. So if you see on the router 4 as well, still the AD is a 1. So AD is a local to the router. All good? Anyone has any question? Fine. Go ahead. Krishna, question है?
Sir, AD value we can manipulate there.
AD value configure था मतलब नहीं समझा?
AD value.
हाँ, AD value क्या? AD value क्या?
So we can less than 1 0 OSPF.
Yeah, you can configure. So let's say example, you have a OSPF routing protocol. The AD is 1110 right now. If you want, you can change this one as well. If you want to change the EIGRP as well, you can change the EIGRP as well. It's up to you. So if you see, I'm not showing the command, right? So leave the command right now. I'm just showing you the behavior right now. Let's say example, I have the router EIGRP number 1. Distance, I have a, let's say example, the EIGRP for the internal router, I'm gonna make this guy as a AD is 50 right now. External router, I'm gonna make this guy a 90 right now. So that's done. So IP. Now let's do one thing. What I can do that, I'll quickly remove the static route because static route is a lower AD always. Now, if you see that the 5.0.0 is coming with the AD number 50 right now. I change the AD for the EIGRP route. So it's coming with the 50. Right? This is the internal router, EIGRP 50. So you do have ability, you can change the AD for the any routing protocol, it's up to you. Right? Now the question comes in the picture. Yeah, questions? Krishna?
Okay.
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 Now, if you see one thing, the prefix length value, right? So we have a AD, we have a metric, and we have a prefix length as well. So what I'm going to suggest you, read this line. As each routing process, so the meaning is saying the line of this is what? Each routing process means what? Her routing protocol. Receive the update and other information. It's choose the best path to any given destination and attempt to install the path into the routing table, right? So router क्या करता है? Router के पास multiple routing protocols रहते हैं. Multiple routing protocols क्या करते हैं? They will receive the update from the neighbor and they will install the best path in the routing table. हमेशा याद रखना, router always maintain the best route. To the routing table, always. And best route will be considered based on what? AD and metric, right? Now, if you see this line, if the EIGRP learns a path for this network and decide this particular path for the best of the EIGRP path destination, it tries to install the path in the routing table. अगर EIGRP को लगा कि ये मेरा बेस्ट पाथ होगा तो उसको क्या करेगा? EIGRP routing table में डालेगा. Router decide whether or not install the route presented by the routing process based on the AD distance of the route in the question. If this path has a lower AD to the destination when compared to the other routes in the routing table, it install in the routing table. If this route is not the route with the best admin distance, then the route will be rejected. Simply, ये पूरा का पूरा line क्या बोला? The router we have, right? If I have a 1.0.0/8 with the AD number, let's say example 20 right now, and I'm getting the route with the 1.0.0/8 with the AD number 1. So what I will do that, I will reject this route and I will install the /8 with the AD number 1. Right? I will install the route with the /number AD number 1. But let's say example, what happened? Right? Let's say example, what happened? I already have a AD number 20 installed over here, and I'm getting the route 1.0.0 with the AD number 21. So in that case, what router 1 will do that? It will reject this update. So if you see, then route will be rejected. So if this route is not the route with the best AD, then the router will simply reject the route. So they will simply reject the route because I already have a best AD. Another line is saying that is what? Our router runs for the routing for 4 routing process. So router is running with the 4 routing process, like a RIP. Let's say example, we have a EIGRP, we have a OSPF, we have a RIP protocol, and we have IGRP, right? So IGRP, let's change with IGRP with the any other route, maybe the EBGP. So EBGP has a 80/20, right? Because IGRP, we don't use it, so I'm not going to consider the IGRP. Let's go with the, or maybe the, let's go with the ISS protocol. That's fine, because we do use ISS protocol in the products network, right? What is the AD for the EIGRP route? The EIGRP route has AD is internal for the 90. OSPF has AD is 110. RIP has AD is 120, and the ISS has a 115, right? This route is saying that now all the four this process have learned the various route to this network, right? What they will do that? So they are learning this route 192.160.100/24. They will also learn it, right? They will also learn the 100 and they will also learn the 100. They're saying that each has chosen its best to the network through the internal metric and process, right? So what they will do that? They will routing the process and each assign admin distance. So what is the ED for this guy? Different routing people. They have a 90, 110, 120, and 115. So in that case, what happened? This guy will be the winner, right? And the router will install this route in the routing table. So though have a lower AD, right? That will be installed in your routing table. Is that clear? So this is all about your AD concept in your Cisco router, right? You can configure you are also using the AD value. You are using the AD value to manipulate the path as well. Manipulate the path means what? Let's say example, you have router 1 and this is the ISP number 1, right? This is the ISP number 2. And what I want, this is the ISP 1 and this is the ISP number 2. What I want, this should be my primary path, right? So what I can do that, I will make the AD lower and make the higher AD over here. So all my traffic will go by the ISP number 1, not the ISP number 2, right? If I want to achieve the load balancing, I want to use both the link. Then in that case, what happen? I will make the AD is equal on the both sides. So I will use the primary and primary concept as well. So you do have ability to manipulate the path. You do have ability. You can change the primary and secondary. You do have ability. You can do the ECMP with the help of AD as well. This is just a distance command we have in the different routing process to change this value. So in the static route, we already did that, right? This distance key, but is there in the static route, right? Now there is one scenario. Let's say example. Can anyone tell me the answer of this one? So we have a one route EIGRP that this is the internal route, so the AD will be 90. This is the RIP route, the AD will be 120, and this is the postal route, the AD will be 110. Can anyone tell me which router 1 will be installed in the routing table?
EIGRP.
EIGRP. Anyone else? Anyone else?
EIGRP, sir.
EIGRP.
EIRB, yes, 90.
Pakka?
Yes.
इसको ध्यान से देखना. आप देखो ठीक से. Okay, EIGRP. So if you see right now, the prefix length of the route are different, right? Prefix length of the route are different. If the prefix length of the route are different, then what a router will consider this guy? They are different subnet. Simple language, I'll explain you in the simple language. So this is the router number 1, and you are getting the 100.0/8 route with the help of EIGRP, the 9080. Same way, you are getting the 2.0/8 with the help of AD OSPF, right? The AD is 1110. Same way, you are getting the 3.0/8 with the help of RIP protocol. Now tell me which route R1 will install. बताओ which route R1 will install.
EIGRP.
Sorry?
EIGRP.
अरे यार कैसे EIGRP?
All three with sorry.
All they have a different route, right?
Yes.
Then how EIGRP?
Okay.
All route, right? All
All
these
routing.
routers will be installed in the routing table.
Like that in this topology and different networks these are.
Yeah, in this topology we have a different network, right? So all these
Yes,
three
sir.
routes will be installed in the routing table. Same way अगर यहाँ पे देखो ये भी तो different subnet है.
Different subnets.
So they will install in the different, right? Exactly now. Clear हुआ ये वाला part? So all these three routes will be installed in your routing table. See? All these three routes will have installed in the routing table. So you can also do this thing. Let me try this lab.
Because they are not the same network, right?
They are not in the same network. Exactly. They are not in the same
Yes.
network.
This is we don't.
Class 26, class 24, class 19 right now.
Mm.
So let's do one
We
thing.
check
I'll
AD.
go to configure the, what should I do that? I'll configure this guy's interface loopback number. Right. Okay, and let's do one thing. Going into that. 255.0. Right. And I would have this route in the AGRP. Okay. And that also from one aspect. But later. That one I need to give the static route. So I will give the static route like a /8. We can give it, right? Not a big deal. So if you see show IP route now, you have I have configured the one loop back over 100.0.0, sorry, not 0.0, 100.100.100.0/24. Right? What you see right now, I have a static route which I manually configured in the Arduino one. Manually /8, I did manually configure it intentionally to show you this behavior. I have this route with the AD1. Same route we have, right? AD number 1. Same route we have with the AD number 50, which is the EHRP. 50, why the 50 is coming? Because the reason to 50 is coming because we have configured the distance command, right? So Krishna was a question, right? It can be changed the AD for the routing people. इसलिए यहाँ पे 50 आ रहा है. Same way you can see that I'm getting the route from those as well. Because the different subnet mask we have it. Right? AD is different. So in that case, I will not look for the AD, right? In that case, I will not look for the AD. All good? Anybody has any question?
Yes, Mr. Law, if you have two static road, road A with the AD1 and second one with the AD5. AD1 will install in the routing table, right?
Exactly, AD1 will be installed in the routing table if the subnet mask is same.
If it is down,
then another comes in the picture. We did this lab in the floating static route.
but if it is come up again,
then load again comes in the picture.
okay.
Right? Now let's say example, what happened? You tell me. Let's say example, I'll give the static route 200.200.200.0, right? And the next stop is a 14.4. An IP route 200.0.0. And next stop. Can tell me anyone which route will be installed in the routing table? Anyone? Which route will be installed in the routing table? This one or this one?
Same AD value.
Yeah, it is same.
So first one.
Sorry, second one. Why second one?
No, first one.
Why first one?
Because prefix, long prefix.
Okay, but the subnet mask is different, right? If the subnet mask is different, both are considered as a different.
Yes. Subnet mask is different. Correct, sir.
Both are considered as a different network. So if the both are considered different network, then what happened? Both will be there in the routing table.
No, both.
You got it now? You understood, guys?
Hmm.
समझ में आ रहा है? अब चलिए
Okay, Mr. Lo, see يعني the confused, it is both will installed,
Yeah.
but if you send the best path will be the second one.
That's I'm coming to the point.
Yes, this is what this is it's confused us.
Yeah, that's I'm coming. Now let's say example, the same one. Now, okay. Let's say example, the packet comes to me, right? The packet, this is the router. And the router received the packet that has a destination IP address is 192.168.1.1. I have a 3-path, EIGRP, RIP, and OSPF. Which ones should I use? So let's say example, this is the interface we have a 0/0. This is the interface we have 0/1, and the interface with 0/2. What do you think? Which interface should I use to forward the packet? You got the point, right? What I'm saying that over here.
It will look up for long prefix length.
Exactly. It will look for the longest prefix match rule, right? So it will use the 1 to forward the packet. So if you see, right, what happened in that case, if all these 3 routes will be there. So the packet arrives on the router for this particular network, 30.1. Let's say example, this is the 30.7 we have. Which route should the router will choose it? It depends on the prefix length, number of bits on the send passing information. So longer prefix will always preferred over the shortest one to forward the packet. So the packet comes to the 30.1, right? Which is go for the directed to 10.1.101, which is this guy. Why this guy? Because the 30.1 falls in this subnet, right? The 26 is a longer prefix match. It's not go with the /24, it's not go with the /90. But let's say example, if this guy has something like this IP configured 30.1/32, in that case, what happened? It will never look up, it will look for this guy. Same way, let's say example, right? If likewise the packet distance for the 30.100 arrive on the router interface, then which one they will choose it? In that case, what happened? The /26, right? /26 is only going to contain the 192.168.30. Right? 1 IP address to the what one? Till the /26, right? So it's a 32 increment number, right? So it will go with the 64. 31.26, right? 24 is a 25 is a 128, and 26 is a 64, right? So that's good. So in that case, what happened? Till the 64, right? 32.64, you have any IP packet comes for this range, then I will look for this interface 10.101. But the packet is coming with a 30.100, right? The 30.100 is not lying in this one, right? So if it is not lying in this one, then which subnet I'm going to use it? /24. Because the 30.100 is not participating in the other subnet, right? Because the range we have 63 only. 64 is a different broadcast domain, right? Let me write down 63. 64 is a different broadcast domain. So because of that reason, what happened? It will use this link to forward the packet. Why it's not sending the packet by the /19? The reason is only that because /24 is a higher range, right? Higher subnet masking form. If this goes down, then they will use this link to forward the packet.
More specific.
More specific, right? I hope this is
But
clear.
Mr. Lo, if you go up in the same page, they consider 3-factor for routing building.
Sorry, can you repeat that one?
If you go up, I think in the same page.
This one?
Before. No. To build routing table, here, yes.
Yeah.
Build the routing table.
Mm-hmm.
The main consideration when you build a routing table,
AD
number
and
3 is prefix length.
no, I think so. I missed your question. Can you repeat that one?
Yeah, see this part, build the routing table, right?
Okay.
There is the main consideration when you build the routing table 3, AD matrix and prefix.
AD matrix and prefix, right?
I think this not to build I think to select the best path.
It's helping you to select the best path. Building the routing table means,
But not build.
nahi, building the routing table means what? Selecting the best path. Building means, well, let's say example, you have router number 1 and you are using the route 1.0.0.0 on both the side. That's the meaning of building the routing table, right? Which path should I pick up? So I will look for the
I think to install in the routing table this.
Which path will be installed in the routing table. So in that case, what happened? OSPF is a 9080, sorry, 111080, RIP has a 120, right? So in that case, what happened? Router 1 will use this route to build the routing table or install the route in the routing table. Clear now?
Okay. Okay.
But remember one thing, this is the different thing, this is a different thing, and this is a different thing. Whenever the router will receive the packet, in that case, the data plane traffic, I'm saying that data plane traffic, when the router will receive the packet, that's the meaning of data plane traffic, right? When the router will receive the packet, x.x.x source will be anything, destination will be 101. In that case, what happened? If they have a /24, if they have a /26, and if they have a /28, in that always case, what happened? If we look for the longest prefix match. Always. All good?
Yes.
Chalo. So I request to everybody, please have a look for these one. Remember this one. I also want to show you one more part. So if you see the AD255, right? If you go and configure the distance command, and I have a AD255. So if I'm going to make this guy the AD255, right? This is reserved for the unknown route. Unknown route means what? Once I'm going to configure this AD with this particular route, then what happens? This route will be not appear in the routing table. So if you put the command do show IP route now, you will not have a 200.0.0/8, right? You don't have a /8 now. You have a /24, but you don't have a /8. So this route is a unknown route. So if you configure, let's take another example, 9.0.0.0. 14.4, and I'm configuring the AD254. Fine, I can install this route 254, 9.0.0. Right? But as soon as I'm going to configure this guy as a 255, भाई मैं इसको install ही नहीं करूंगा because this 255 is reserved for the unknown route. On unknown route के लिए कोई भी unknown route के लिए क्या होगा? Router इसको install नहीं करेगा. So it's not installed in the routing table now anymore. Right? So AD255 is a dangerous AD. Do not do that in the production network. So let's say example, you have a customer C and they have a default route, of course with the AD number 1. अगर मैंने इसको 255 कर दिया तो क्या होगा? This default route will be deleted from your routing table. तुम्हारा पूरा का पूरा कंपनी का नेटवर्क डाउन हो जाएगा. Okay, that's all for the AD, guys. Let me know if you have any question. I'm done for the today. All good, guys. Anybody has any question? Does anybody has any question?
No, sir. No.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's send the packet to this guy. Ping 10, 100, 100, 100, 100. Let me enable the. I think so. I can check that on the counters. That's fine. 100, 100, 100. So I'm sending the traffic right now, right, to the 100.100 network. And this will go by the OSPF route, right? So if you show interface 0/0, include rate. It's not showing that. So you can see that the packets are out. Same thing, I'm going to send up more packet now. Maybe about 200 now. So this will be increased, right? So I'm using the longest prefix match right now. See that? It's increased now. I'm mounting the packet. Okay. So that's all for the today, guys. I'm done for the today now. I'll see you tomorrow with the topic that I'm going to start tomorrow with the dynamic routing protocol. So we'll explore the RIP protocol first of all, right? And then on the Friday, we'll jump to the what we call the EHF routing protocol.
Next Monday, you mean?
Not next Monday. So tomorrow we'll do the RIP, right? And we are not going to spend too much time. I'm just going to show you the how to configure it. But if you really want to make a explore about the RIP, the version 1 and version 2, what is the difference and how the practical things are there, please watch the video. I have uploaded the video on the YouTube, right? Please watch that one. But we'll just spend the RIP for the one day. We'll talk about the interesting part. And then we'll jump to the EHRP protocol on the Friday.
Friday, and there is lecture, not off.
We'll do that today. This weekend we'll do that, okay? Because I missed the mini class 2 and 3 class. I already missed that, so we'll do that Friday this weekend, okay?
Okay.
Chalo. I'll see you. Bye bye.